And more, it's not just lemonade stands being harassed. Every week I see articles of people selling eggs in the country, watermelons, squash, onions, and they have undercovers that come and buy it from them and then arrest them for supposedly not paying a few dollars of taxes. You can see the system hates the grassroots and hates individuals trying to just tread water and be self-sufficient, but then the illegal aliens in 800-plus sanctuary cities, they're allowed to drunk drive, mug people, whatever. This government hates the blue-collar working people. Unless you're on welfare, they want you dependent on them as a voting bloc, or they want you in prison.
We have aristocratic criminals. That's all it is. It's a new aristocratic criminal class. And it's the Bush administration, it was the Clinton administration, and now it's the Obama administration. It's the two-headed one-party system.
And by the way,
aristocratic criminals.
And by the way, you're right, Gerald. If you study feudalism, whether it was in Japan or Europe in the last 600, 700 years, feudalism is about turning resources off to the general public to make them poor and dumbed down to control them. I mean, this is admitted. The globalists with their carbon taxes, it's not about helping the environment. It's about them being a mafia and being able to say who can have a factory, who can have a business, who can have a job. And then if you're on the inside crew of the Harvard boys, the Princeton boys that you talk so much about, then you can do whatever you want and not follow any regulations. But if you're a red-blooded American, regardless of what color you are or what religion, you try to start a company or something, they harass you out of existence.
Exactly, and the people that are the enforcers are just merely the flunkies for the big guys. I may have told you this story. I began my career as the assistant to the Secretary of the New York State Senate at a graduate school after putting on campaigns in Westchester County. It was the worst job I ever had, to watch grown men sucking up. That's all it is. So in order for them to preserve their jobs, they have to make sure they're bringing in the dough, and they bring in the dough by fining the little people, whether it's the cop out there that's watching you go over that double yellow line, or whether it's, again, going into the pizza joint to make sure you paid all your sales tax.
And expanding on that, and then we're going to calls, in the last 3 weeks, I've been tuning in more to the rebroadcast of it because it's so amazing. Limbaugh has come out, and I've read the transcripts here on air, and said it's the blue bloods out of Harvard and Princeton, it's the rich elites, it's a club, it's about kissing up, they want to destroy America to make us dependent on them, it's a world government, it's a new world order, these people are scam artists, it's about who you know, not who you are, and they want to destroy the middle class. I mean, that's a big deal to have Limbaugh finally start sounding like Gerald Celente or Alex Jones.
Well, you know what these guys do, Alex. They pick up on what we say, and then they milk it, whether they believe it or not, because he's one of them, and he keeps sucking up to them. You know, so that's what they do. I've been around this game long enough, and it's good media for them. But no one could deny it now. Look, I'm getting these calls about people writing now about the Second American Revolution. Yeah, pick up the what was it? The autumn 2009 Trends Journal, the headline, the Second American Revolution. No, it's here, and this is the other thing, and it's so true. Forget the big lie that all you have to do in America is work hard and put your nose to the grindstone and you're going to make it to the top. Yeah, you can, and you could also win the lotto. Yeah, some people do. But the reality is the only reason that these guys make several $100 million a year is because they're members of the club and they're doing the inside deals.
We're going to go to calls, but you're absolutely right on that front. And something you've talked about for a decade was the college bubble. And now I've suddenly seen, it's got to be 10 or 15 in the last 2 weeks, big top magazines reporting, you know, college won't get you a job. Most degrees are worthless. So now I guess they're getting ready to pop that bubble, telling mom and dad that sunk $100 grand into a 4-year education that, sorry, your little sweetheart, your little delicate genius is going to be bagging groceries. Meanwhile, the guy that started mowing lawns 20 years ago, he's living in a $500,000 house. Or the artisan that knows how to put in wood molding, he's living in a $500,000 house because he knows how to bust his butt, not go to college.
Again, you've heard me say this again. They're catching up to us, and it's a waste of money unless you're going for a degree that's going to pay a return on investment. I read this story, and this woman, she's $100,000 in debt, went to NYU, and I'm slaving through this rotten story to find out. I wonder what she took. She took women's history and religion. And you went to college for that?
I mean, she could have sat there and read 20 books and gotten the same knowledge.
Exactly. And become an apprentice. Start getting out there and go the old way it used to be. Don't waste your money on a degree in business administration.
That's right. Find a company where you can work hard, where you've got upward mobility, where you get rewarded for smarts and hard labor. Folks, this country was built on people busting their butts, not on working for mega global corporations. Let's talk to Michael in Florida. You're on the air, Michael.
Hey, Alex.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, Mr. Celente. I want to thank y'all for, at least talking to people, caring enough, and, sticking to what's important. Because you have a lot of times, I heard you talking to people who disagree. A lot of times people just want to say red because you said blue. You say the sky is blue, they'll say it's red.
Well, that's another point. How much have I been right about? How much is Gerald and Dr. Roberts? But it's not even that hard. If you study history, study how these elites operate. I mean, we're telling people common sense, and still the establishment tries to make fun of us. But it doesn't matter. Their stock's going down, our stock's going up.
Ignoring the truth doesn't make it go away.
Yes, sir.
And a lot of people, you have to beat them with the truth because a lot of times people come against you when you're telling the truth. Your truth is your sword against them. Now, their sword is, based off what you're saying, they're going to try to pervert it and turn it around, everything that you're saying. But you have to keep beating them in the face with the truth because that's what they run from.
Yeah, I don't care what anybody says, just so you know that. When people say to me, this one, what do I care? I don't care what they think. The motto of the Trends Research Institute is think for yourself. We don't tell anybody what to think. We just put the facts down and we give our analysis. And nobody tells me what to think. If they disagree with the facts, I'll debate them on that. But we're, again, being a political atheist, it's not what you wish, what you want, or what you hope for. It's just what is. And the what is now is that we believe that 20% of the people in this country that aren't suck-ups or sold out could change the direction of this country. It's a time for rejuvenation, to bring back the best of what used to be, and stop listening to all these people that can tell you what it could be if you keep following their course to disaster.
Exactly. Michael, great points. Jeff in Texas, you're on the air with Gerald Celente. Jeff, your phone doesn't have its audio turned on. I can hear you mumbling barely. Go ahead, Jeff. Let's move on. Kelly in Georgia. Kelly, you're on the air.
Yes. Hi, gentlemen. Gerald, two things. Could you please speak a little bit about the future of IRAs, 401ks, and the like, as far as whether you foresee any government takeover, and also speak on some privacy issues? What can we do to have some semblance of privacy in our personal and financial lives, or is it a lost cause? I mean, I'm a law-abiding citizen. I don't do anything wrong, but there's been instances that have been occurring with census people, and it's becoming very oppressive.
No, they're training you that we're going to put you through naked body scanners. We're going to come ask you questions. We're going to set up checkpoints. It's part of training you. Great points. Let's get Gerald Celente's comments on what you asked.
Well, first off, I don't do any online banking. And I do as little online in giving my private information out as possible. And I think anybody that does online banking and gets hit, you deserve what you get. And that's number one. Number two, it's like Alex said, the more power they keep losing, the more rights they're going to continue to take away from us. So everyone really has to become active at every level. And again, we believe that 20% of the people could change the course, because right now we're following the 80 dumbed down. So it's that kind of thing. And when you go back to this whole thing about this body scanning at airports, what brought it all about? It was from some underwear bomber? You know, come on. Who was the guy that was touting this stuff on television? That guy Cherkoff? How do you pronounce his name, Alex?
His name is Jerkoff. Yeah, it was a former head of Homeland Security, Mr. Jerkoff.
Yeah, there he is. He's the guy that was also a front for the companies selling the machines. I mean, how could anybody be so stupid?
Well, they ordered him a year before the underwear bombing. Then I had the lawyer on who was on board the plane, and it turned out everything he said was true. The U.S. government, CIA, ordered the State Department to let him on the plane. It was all staged, and it even came out in mainstream news. But here's another question going along with what Kelly was asking you, dealing with this. What about Bloomberg 2 weeks ago admitting that every major insurance company is now tricking people and stealing the widows of dead vets from Iraq and Afghanistan, stealing $400,000, $500,000, $1 million settlements, and just keeping the money. And they're so arrogant, Bloomberg reported, they send them a fake checkbook that's a trick. When they sign it, it signs away their money, and it said Prudential. I mean, it just shows you. And then now they're announcing, oh, the government's ordering private pension funds to invest in failed banks. So they're already stealing the money.
Yes, they are. And on the question of will the government become involved in taking over pension funds, et cetera, they're capable of doing anything. And unfortunately, I have to put money in IRAs because of tax purposes, so for my retirement program, or else I wouldn't at all. And you know me, I don't believe in investing in stocks, and I only invest in gold and different currencies. And my currencies are only hedges against one going up and the other going down, so I preserve my wealth.
We're going to go to break in the final segment, jam in calls from John, Dan, and Tony. We may even get to one of them now, but I want to roll some video for PrisonPlanet.tv viewers. For radio, I'll talk over it. This is about 2 hours ago, when Obama arrived in town, and you see the dozens of motorcycles, scores of vehicles, the highway shut down for the emperor to arrive in Austin, Texas, and they've shut down much of downtown. He's going to be speaking a little bit after 2 at the UT Gregory Gym at 2 p.m. There's a protest down there against him. There's also some of his zombies who want a free lunch down there, so I suggest folks head down there now. He's always late, so you'll be able to get there in time to protest him before and after when he leaves UT's Gregory Gym. But we launched another keyword today. We've done this 8 times. Every time we do it, it becomes the #1 search term. Today we're searching his real name, Barry Soetoro. And then that'll become the #1 search term, hopefully, in the next few hours. Then that will link them to the PrisonPlanet.com article, Barry Soetoro, a.k.a. Barack Obama's political dynasty, crashes and burns. Gerald, is it good news that normally it takes 2-3 years for people to wake up to a president being a puppet? This time it happened in a matter of months, and they had sold him as our messianic leader, and now he's basically, it's easier to sell, dog do off the sidewalk to somebody than Obama. Does that not show the awakening's happening?
It shows the awakening's happening, but anything could happen after that. Let's go back to George W. Bush. Remember how people looked at him in the polls before 9/11. He was the incompetent that people thought he was. But all of a sudden, he becomes the decider-in-chief, creates this war on terror, and people start believing this guy. So anything could happen, Alex. If there's a terror strike, and we believe there's going to be, considering U.S. foreign policy, if there's a war, it's not going to be as though the United States deserves it. It's going to look like another Gulf of Tonkin incident where it's fabricated.
And then we've got to get behind him, and we've got to do everything he says, government, health care, police state, because he's our big daddy.
You got it.
And you were trying to say something uninterrupted.
No, that was it. They'll make it seem as though that they're protecting us. and that the people will rally around him. They do it all the time, and they know it. These manipulators in the White House are not stupid. They're very shrewd, and they know what will pull the people's heartstrings. If there's another, as I said, another terror strike, an incident, this one won't be a Gulf of Tonkin strike. It'll be a Gulf of Hormuz. So it'll be that kind of thing.